Hey everybody, Neil here. Normally I'd be gaming on the weekend, but this time I have a lot of work to do, so none of that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to produce the first in a series of production vlogs for the comic that I'm working on, the graphic novel, Space Honeys. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about the cover and the artist and what we wound up going with here. I'm not really a trained comic artist per se. A lot of my art influence comes from television, actually, and I was really into a lot of the cartoons that came out in the early '80s. You know, like Secret and Nim and The Fox and the Hound, and even stuff before that. Like I was really into '70s and '80s animation. Something about the character designs back then, the artistry, the it was a very different industry back then versus what it is today. So that's a lot of my frame of reference. And rather than talking about comic book covers, what we actually talked about were movie posters, specifically for animated features. Again, it's just my frame of reference. And I wanted to go with something that was very action packed and coming like at your face, or at least in a general direction that conveys a lot of momentum and excitement. And the one we wound up talking about was Project A-ko, which this is very similar to, where it's like there's a whole lot of momentum. It's all kind of going in one direction, but it's also kind of splayed out because it's a very near field perspective. Like you see right here, like you see like everything's going in the same direction, but the way it's angled, like the glider's like pointed this way, and the scene's like running this way, and her feet are like that. So it's like whoosh, everything's going to the left, but it's also kind of coming outward at an angle. So it's like a 45-degree angle on the z axis. So that's what we were going with. And what wound up happening, although this is a fantastic cover, there was one little bit here that I found a little incongruent. We'll talk about that right now. And that is this character right here, Ne'er-do-well, which is a name I'm very proud of. Get her full frame here. And there's a couple problems with Ne'er-do-well's body. Mainly that the incongruency of the upward angle of the glider is going this way, but her body is like going down, and it's just not really. She's not really angled. If you can see, kind of like in 3D space, she's kind of angled weirdly. It's like she's almost like that, and it's like I don't know what's going on here. Like I understand it's a very awkward angle to draw at, and we just kind of ran out of time. And if I had Kitty Hawk to redo this, it would be kind of pricey, and that's it's just outside of my price range for right now. So I was like, I'll just do it myself because I'm a graphic artist. I'm working on this, for Christ's sake. I can do the work. So what we're gonna do right now is I'll show you how I'm going to edit this, or at least kind of set the groundwork of what we're going to do. So we're going to start with this shoulder over here. Let's reduce the size of the brush and click that away. So the shoulder, oh, on the wrong layer already. Classic Neil. So put the shoulder right here. And I also see another problem. Her chest is like really bizarre. So we're going to bring it out here. We're going to like attach the boob right there. And her her boobs are like kind of like oddly angled. They're like forward, even though the back is like that. So we're just gonna, let me take these lines out. That was just to show you the angle that they were at. So we're gonna just do something like that. Yeah, we're gonna try to angle this one back. We're gonna end up like making them bigger than what they are. You guys don't mind that, right? Just to change the angle of them a little bit. Oh, another thing with the legs is that there isn't like a real foreshortening of the legs. Like the way the angle is, like the heels should actually be back here. Like here's her foot, here's the other foot, and then like that's her calves, and then like the thighs should be like this. But we're not going to preserve that angle, so we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to kind of need a frame of reference. Let's see, that's where her neck is. We'll delete this later. I know that looks really weird. And her other shoulder's right here. Okay, the back comes up like that. So let's see. So we imagine her rib cage ends right there. And then it's gonna be kind of tricky because even I'm going to have a little bit of trouble with this angle. I might need to pull back every now and then just to see what we're doing. I hope this is going to turn out okay. We do something more like that. Okay, she's got a harness on. You kind of see it like right there. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. We're actually going to redraw those entirely. We're going to make them a little thicker. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. And then there's a harness that goes around the base for a rib cage, which will go right there. I think we'll put the hip of the leotard right there. And then let's see. Okay, the thigh ends there, but you also have to imagine that because of the angle, the knee is going to be behind, so the knee is actually going to be right there. And then we'll attach the calf right there, I think. Ankle's right here, heel. This might be kind of tricky. Let's see. Might have a little bit of a problem with the heels just because that's such a weird angle. Again, I understand it's a tough angle to do. Might even bring that in a bit. So do that. I think that'll work. All right, now let's erase some of these reference lines that we don't need anymore. We'll actually erase the lines that are going to be behind her arm. Oh, we didn't do the other arm. So let's really quickly to kind of move her back around that way. We're going to change the angle of her arm entirely. The elbow's right there now. And then we'll put the wrist right there. There's the wrist right there. And then what I think I'll do is I'll actually move the actual drawing of the hand over here. But for now, what we'll do is we'll put a hand here as reference just to show where it goes. Love the splayed fingers. That might even need to be fixed. Let's see. Because it doesn't look like that's how a wrist connects. Hands are tricky. They're still tricky to me. Gotten a bit better at them, but I'm still kind of weird at them. They're still kind of a problem. Okay, so that kind of that's actually pretty good. So let's create another layer because I want to mask out the parts of the drawing that we're going to remove. So let's... And I will have to do something about the actual background. I'll have to use the airbrush tool and some of the other tools to kind of reproduce the portions of the background that I'll be masking out. So let's see. Let's bring up the percentage so you get a basic idea of what it's gonna look like. So that looks a hell of a lot better. It's not perfect, but I don't really want it to be perfect. And it's not really not at the same angle, is it? You know what? Well, let's try to see what we can do. Maybe we can kind of... Oops, wrong layer. No. No, what am I doing? There we go. No, gotta put the anchor right there. There we go. You know what? It looks pretty good. So maybe I'll just leave it like that. Although I think I'll probably move the one leg back a bit. Boy, I do not miss drawing on paper, I'll tell you that. I love being able to edit on the fly. Complete freedom, because I am such an accident prone illustrator. I make mistakes all the time, and it's just nice to be able to... Oops. It's just nice to be able to undo bad drawing decisions. So that looks pretty good like that. I think that's what we're going to go with. Again, it's still angled kind of downward, but I think it's acceptable. We did change the angle quite a bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the recording, and I'm going to do some cleanup. I'm going to do the line art, and I'll show you what the next step is. So sit tight. I'll be back in a sec. Alright, so let's see what I've done here. So, actually made some interesting adjustments. Like I said before I took a break, the angle was still kind of going downward. So what I did was I brought her belly down and the leg as well. And what that does is it gives the illusion that her back is arched. So she's actually... Her back is more like that, so it brings her forward momentum more like that, which is, we examine everything here, it's actually much more in line with what we wanted. Again, it's not completely perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be passable. And in order to deal with some other problems I was having, I actually curved the boobs inward. Like the final, I'll have to mask this part out right here, but I have a curvature like there, and then the other boob is back a little farther. So that should, and I fixed the arm a little bit over here too. That should actually work now. So now let's click that away and bring up the new line art layer. And that's what it looks like. And this pretty much mimics as close as possible Kitty Hawk's art. I still got to cut out her hand. Maybe I can do that now. No. Keep cutting it too close. There. Copy and paste. And bring that. I'll put it on top of the other line layer. And we'll bring the opacity up. Now we got to do, let's for a moment click that away. And we'll change the background color to something, hopefully that won't blind you. This should be okay. And the reason we're going to do that is because we have to cut this out and I need to be able to see what I'm doing. So I could probably just use that. Am I on the correct layer? No, I'm not. And I'm really good at making massive boo-boos. Color tolerance is too high. I don't really feel like messing it with it, so we'll just do it the lazy way. Cut it a little too close. Get right up to the line. Try not to bleed too far inward. Actually, one of my favorite tools is the polygonal lasso. Now, the polygonal lasso is kind of goofy on Clip Studio, so I have to do this in multiple swipes. Because if you have two points that are really close to each other, it will well, I'll show you what it does. If I try to like let's say I try to get like next to this one, well, no, it's not going to do it. Oh, you can see right there, it kind of snaps to the first available. So it's kind of goofy to use, so it makes working in tight angles kind of a trick. So the way around that is just to do multiple passes. See, it'll undo one of your anchor points if you're too close, which is really annoying. This I probably could have just done off camera. Oh well. But I do like this tool because it's a way to be super precise. Actually, I don't think it's called polygonal lasso on here. I think that's a Photoshop term. I'm doing this one at a time because of the way the see, it just did it. Because of the way the anchor points work. I'm sure there's a way to turn that snap to feature off, but I don't know how to do it. Sure, there's lots of things that I could do in this program if I bothered to learn it. Come on. Inane. Okay. Actually, I don't need to be too precise with this because it'll be on a white background anyway. But there we are. Okay, now we'll bring that back. Actually, let's bring that back so we have something to line it up with. F2. Let's see how that looks. Not too great. Let's try that again. Reduce its size. It is more in the background now. Maybe I can play with that a little bit more in a minute. So we got the line art done. Suppose what we can do, start another layer. And actually what I should have started doing was picking out color swatches. So that's her skin. That's her costume. I'm gonna have to bring up this really quick so I can get in here and grab her harness. What else do I need? That might actually be it. Okay, so let's knock this back down. Okay, where did I... What layer is that on? What did I do? Okay, I gotta fix that. Jesus. There we go. All right. So let's start coloring. And actually, let's start with the skin color. It's okay that we're going to be overlapping the parts of the drawing that we want to keep. I have another solution for that in just a little bit. It'll be a little sloppy. We can certainly fix it. Okay. No. There we go. I didn't quite get that edge. I will have to make a second pass at this just so I can make sure I got everything colored in the lines. Looks like... No, that's just ink. Okay. Well, ink in quotation marks. Okay. Let's write her midsection's a different color. I'll need to pull that color later. I think I did a pretty good job of mimicking Kitty Hawk's line art. I know it's not totally consistent, but at a distance you really won't be able to tell. Sorry if I'm making anyone motion sickness by pulling out and back in really quick. What are we doing here? Oh. Alright, you get the idea. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video for now. Actually, I went a little crazy here. Just need to have enough that there's coverage for the new areas of her bosom. But actually, I don't need any color. What was I doing? I don't need any color in this area. Just up to that point. Alright, I'm going to pause the video here and I'll finish up coloring off camera and then I'll come back and I'll show you the next step. So hang tight, I'll be right back. Alright, now as you can see here, there really wasn't that much more to do, so I just wound up finishing the coloring. What I did was I just took the remaining shading swatches from the original drawing and just did as best I could to mimic Kitty Hawk's coloring style, and I think it came out really good. Even though it's finished, I wanted to show you some of the things that I did. Let's see. Here's the line art. Oh, I gave everything proper layer names. So now, actually, I know what I can do. I can drop the opacity there. Now you'll see that like there's a totally independent overlay here that goes on top of the portions of coloring that were going underneath the existing art. So by putting that on top, that completes the illusion. So basically, there's the finished piece layer, which is the original drawing. There's the Goldie overlay, which is the top layer. And then sandwiched in the middle is the line art and color. And there's also a I replaced the masking layer with this paint out layer. And what this is it's a more proper way of addressing the parts of the background that had to be redone in place of the existing body parts. So the arm that was over here, let me see, that was over here, is it's been airbrushed out completely. I did have to readjust this hand. Oh, I'm on top. I'm underneath another layer, which is why it's doing that. Yeah, I just as intuitively as possible recreated the sign that was back there where the legs were. The legs, remember, the original legs were let's get on a layer that we can actually see it. The original legs were like right here. So that's been masked over. Let's see, again, we'll pull out. Yeah, again, with the posture changed. Let's pick a color that's actually visible. Color change, like I said, her back is now arched a bit, so she's like that, which changes her trajectory so that it's more like that. Whereas like originally it was going that way. So that is much better. What else? Some title adjustments and some additional effects. You'll see right here. Note the jet wash right here and here, and also her glasses here. Watch what happens when I turn this on. Boom. There's some incandescent effect there now. And the glasses are reflecting light because there's an explosion behind them. Fire is very bright, so it's going to do that. Also, additional titles, where my name goes on the cover of the book. And we also have this, which is, you know what that says? It says Space Honeys in Japanese. Why? I don't know. Because I feel like being a dork. Because it's inspired by manga and anime, so why not? So there you go. That is how I edit a picture that originally did not have multiple layers, by creating a top layer, a existing bottom layer, and then putting in all this extra stuff in between. And it was pretty easy. It took about an hour. Wasn't too bad. So I will see you later.